Hi, I'm Robin Boyce for City Corner, and today we're going to talk a little bit about the IRS. They actually want to help you out, and they need your help as well. Also, a new franchise in St. Louis, Chick-fil-A, has a really great, interesting story. Come on back. Hi, I'm Robin Boyce, and thank you for staying with us this half hour. We've got some great information for you. We hope it's going to help you out. In the studios with me right now is Ms. Danielle Douglas, who is a local tax advocate or a taxpayer advocate. She works for a unit of the IRS, and I didn't even know this existed, and I'm glad you all are there. Got a chance to see you do a workshop once for the City of St. Louis through the St. Louis Treasurer's Department with one of the programs that they have going on to talk more about giving people tips on taxes for the tax season. Right. This is a high season, I know, for you guys, but I did not know that the IRS had a unit for taxpayers, a Taxpayers Advocate Service. Tell us more about it.
Absolutely. So the Taxpayer Advocate Service actually began in 1999. So we have been around for quite a while.
Yes, you have.
And this organization stood up, we will say, as a result of many congressional hearings that took place back in 1998 when Congress saw a need to make sure that there was some oversight to the IRS and that people who were experiencing issues with IRS could get some resolution.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you are experiencing a problem with IRS, you may find it very difficult to either get through or to get through to the person that you are speaking with at IRS.
Right.
So Taxpayer Advocate Service is here to help you. We want to, one, make sure that your rights are protected. Did you know that you had rights?
I did know that I had rights, but it was so hard thinking that you couldn't get anything done with the IRS if you did not have a tax attorney. Having a tax attorney help things a little bit, because there was a lot of stuff I didn't understand, you know, or people out there don't understand, but your advocate service then does what for individuals?
So, and I'm glad you brought up the fact that you had a tax attorney, because we are not there to take the place of the practitioner world. In fact, we can sometimes help the practitioners because they also experience some problems getting through with the IRS. So our organization is under the umbrella of IRS, but we do not report directly to the commissioner of IRS.
Okay.
We have a national taxpayer advocate, and that person is tasked with reporting directly to Congress. And in doing so, one of our, we call it the NTA, short for National Taxpayer Advocate. The NTA is tasked with sharing with Congress IRS most serious problems. So you can understand why the NTA can't report directly to IRS. Okay, and so many times we are just there to make sure that if you can't get through to IRS, we can. Because we are under the umbrella, we have access to IRS systems. We can pull up taxpayer accounts. We can see what's going on. We can make sure that if something was missed, that we can make sure we can get it seen to.
Get it taken care of.
And get it taken care of. I have an office now. It has shrunk over the years, and now we're starting to grow again. So my office consists of about 15 case advocates.
Case advocates. That's a good number.
It is.
But it's keeping you all really busy.
Oh,
what are
we
some
are
of the biggest
extremely
questions that you're getting in for people who are taxpayers? What, you know, with reference to their forms, what are the biggest questions that you get?
So right now, I'll share with you that since 2018, IRS has been really scrutinizing tax returns and making sure that the information on the tax returns matches what's in IRS systems. And this is because what has been happening over the years is IRS may have issued a refund to a wrong taxpayer. Let's say, for example, I know...
No, not the IRS. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I had to do that.
But listen, I'll give you a perfect example. I know a lady had a baby about 10 years ago, dropped the baby off with the father, Hasn't really been in her child's life for these last 10 years. But every year at tax time, she amazingly is able to file on the first day of tax season when we can accept electronic returns and claim that child whose life she hasn't been in.
Okay.
Well, she's showing as the mother of the child, so IRS has no reason to believe that she's not in that child's life and not the custodial parent. So when she files, IRS will issue whatever refund is showing on that return. Well, over time, if the father finally gets frustrated with the process and then says, well, you know what, I'm sick of this, I'm going to also file and claim this child who I've been taking care of.
Will red flags pop up?
Oh, red flags will pop up. That parent will not be able to file electronically because those filters are working.
Right.
And so the parent can file, but they'll have to send in a paper return. And many times that parent will have trouble. Typically, you know, you don't really find that the fathers are the custodial parents, so that's a hurdle to cross over itself.
Sure.
But that may be an opportunity where Taxpayer Advocate Service can get involved. So if you've tried to get resolution with IRS, because that's your first step, try to get resolution with IRS.
Right.
You come to us when you can't get resolution with IRS. So if you've tried to get resolution with IRS and you can't, you come in, we get you a case advocate, then they're going to be with you from the beginning to the end. And unlike anybody else in IRS, when we say we're going to call you, it's our goal to call you on those days. And so we try to deliver on the promises that we make. But what happened was IRS would have to then issue that custodial parent the refund. You know, our case advocate would help. IRS had to issue that refund.
And that other parent would have to pay back or whatever?
They would have to pay back, but then they would some kind of way get lost. You know, they would maybe change their W-2, stop filing, things of that nature. IRS would never be able to catch them, so that's money down the drain.
So that's a lot of rigmarole. Head of household, big question that a lot of people had at this workshop. Explain that to people.
So head of household is a filing status. So you can, you know, there's several filing status. Single is one. In order to file single, you can't be married. I think several married people think they can still file single. That's not an option.
Are you serious?
For them, yes.
Okay.
But then there's the married, filing jointly, married filing separately, and those filing status are for the married people, and they can choose if they want to file jointly and they choose to file together. They can,
as long as they do that.
Right. And if they file separately, they can. But head of household is slightly different. So head of household is a filing status, and I love it because a lot of people feel like if they're single and they own their own house and they're the head of their household, that they can file head of household.
See, now that's where the confusion comes in for a lot of taxpayers. Right. Okay, so you cannot file that status, head of household, if you're single and you own this property.
Not just because you're single and you own the property.
Okay.
There are some other requirements.
Okay.
So you have to maintain the house for a qualifying child or for a qualifying relative. Okay. So you basically have to have someone that you're claiming as a dependent and you're maintaining the household for them. So if it's just you in the house, whether it's an apartment or a house that you're paying a mortgage for, that's not going to qualify you by law to use the head of household status. Okay. We will not take from you that you are the head of your own household. You just can't use it on the tax return.
So you cannot use head of household just because you're single and you own this house.
That's correct.
So you just can't do that. They can't, and then you have to prove that you, that person or relative or whoever in your house is a part of your life, or don't you have to legally prove that to the IRS that
only if IRS pulls your return to take a deeper look at it. So there will be situations, but traditionally, if you're putting a person on the return and there's no questions about it, it'll go through. You know, so that won't be the issue unless you get to the situation where maybe two people are claiming the child. Then yes, you will need to prove that you are the person who is properly entitled to that exemption.
What do taxpayers have to do? Thank you for answering that. What do taxpayers have to do to make sure that they get their taxes in a timely manner and on time?
Great question. And we're kind of getting to that because what's been happening is people will actually take their last paycheck stub in an attempt to hurry up and
that is not necessarily the best thing to do then?
Not at all, because sometimes there may be items that are not taxable when you get paid. So for example, if you put money into a 401k plan. That's not taxable. Sometimes health insurance premiums are not taxable. So it's very difficult sometimes to look at your last paycheck stub and see what's going to actually be reported in box 1 on a W-2.
Got you.
And if those numbers don't match, then IRS will stop the refund. And right now, I actually was looking today. I just looked from March 1st to yesterday, March 10th.
Okay.
In my office, we have received 201 cases.
Wow.
Okay, out of those 201 cases, 105 are cases where the information on the tax return that the taxpayer filed did not match what's on the information that was filed with IRS.
Oh.
So that's pretty substantial, and that's just for the last 10 days. So that's not, we're not talking about from January 27th,
no.
which was
you're
the
talking
beginning.
about just right here
Right.
in the immediate situation in the tax season.
Right. And
But I guess people get really excited.
Yes.
Thinking, because I see this time of the year where folks get really excited and they're glad they're going to get that check.
Yes.
The average return would be how much?
I don't have a good number. I don't want to
Right.
pull anything
Right.
out of the air or anything, but it can certainly range. And I mean, some folks can get refunds as high as $8,000 or $9,000. So that can be a substantial portion of your annual income, especially if you're only making $15,000 to $20,000.
Sure.
Sure,
And that depends on what's going on in that person's
That's
life as
right.
a taxpayer at that time and how things are figured out. What are some of the best things you could tell taxpayers to do as they're prepping right now and getting ready to send their taxes on in?
I will say, only claim dependents that you're entitled to claim. Don't make up a business just to generate earned income and qualify yourself for an earned income credit, because IRS is looking a little closer at returns that fall in what might be considered a sweet spot.
Looking. Most definitely, IRS is looking. There is also a tax advocate panel that the IRS has, and they're recruiting right now, looking for people. I think the deadline for that will probably be March 30th. Okay. Where they are asking for folks to come on board. Yeah, the deadline is March 30th, and this is the tax advocate panel where they're looking for people from St. Louis, Missouri, throughout the state to be a part of a panel to help the IRS become better.
That's right. So Taxpayer Advocate Service oversees the Taxpayer Advocacy Panel, and their whole goal is to improve IRS. And we are looking for people from all walks of life. Yeah. So wealthy, poor, everybody. Go on USA Jobs.
Those people can really, really help out with what's going on as a taxpayer. I've got to have you back for sure to talk about taxes in the season, because there's a lot to talk about when it comes to the IRS. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you, Robin.
Appreciate it. We'll be right back with some more good information about Chick-fil-A here in St. Louis.
There's nothing more powerful than imagination. But don't just imagine. Use STEM to change the world.
Who's with me?
Oh, it's gonna hurt tomorrow.
If she can STEM, so can you. Find out more at She Can STEM.
And welcome back to City Corner. I'm Robin Boyce, and in the studios with me right now is Miss Tasha Fox, who is owner of the new Chick-fil-A out on Highway 67 in Florissant, Missouri. I've had the great opportunity to go out there recently to check out this Chick-fil-A. I did not know what to do. I walked in there and it was packed. I love Chick-fil-A anyway, just to tell you.
Me too.
But Tasha, how you doing?
I'm doing very well.
How did you become a franchise owner of one of the most popular chicken sandwich type of businesses in the country? How did you do this?
Well, I applied.
Okay.
Yep, and that was really the first step. And then went through basically a 3-year-long interview process.
Wow.
Yes, 3 long years to be selected.
Tell us about the price. Well, first off, let me find out a little bit about you.
Yeah.
Give us some of your background. Where are you from?
I'm from Alton, Illinois.
Wow.
Yes,
From the
Illinois.
region, Alton,
Yes.
Illinois.
Yes.
And you went to school to major in?
Yep, I went to Illinois State University,
Did you?
majored in accounting, became a CPA, was a public accountant for several years, and worked at Edward Jones for 17 years before I left and went to Chick-fil-A.
Wow, 17 years,
Yes.
Edward Jones, and you
Yes.
decide, I want to own a chicken joint.
Yeah, and I always say, it was the Lord's plan. I
Yes.
actually competed on the TV show Survivor twice.
Did you?
Yeah, and then when I came back from Survivor, I just felt like I couldn't sit in a cube any
Girl, that's
longer.
where I know you from. Now, which season for Survivor?
First season
the first
was 28, Beauty's Brains and
That's
Brawn.
you. Oh my goodness.
Yep. And then Second Chances,
Wow.
and the fans voted me back, so I got to
That's
play twice.
right. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Okay, so you did Survivor.
Yes.
You worked for Edward Jones. Came on back to St. Louis.
Came
and-
back, and I was just working, like thinking I can't come back from an awesome experience like Survivor
Yeah.
and sit in a cube for the rest of my life. So I was at a Chick-fil-A with a friend one day, and I just joked like, oh, we eat here so much, we should own it, thinking like buy stock in Chick-fil-A, which there is no stock because it's privately owned, which I found out. But as I was reading about Chick-fil-A, I read the corporate mission, which is to glorify God by being a faithful steward of all that is entrusted to us and have a positive impact on all who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. So
So that's the reason why it's closed on Sundays. Because
Yes.
it's an organization that is heavily, I wouldn't say religious, but its mission is to be a
Yeah.
godly type
Yeah.
organization
Yeah,
that treats people a little bit differently. I really like the business model of this organization. First off, let me just say, it is so pleasant to come up to the order microphone and just the way you greet it is just absolutely phenomenal.
Well, that's good. Our goal is to treat our guests with dignity and
Yeah.
care, and to, I like to say, we're not selling chicken, we're selling an experience. So a place where you can come with your family or your children and get great food, quality food, but then also be treated like one of the family.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, you actually do feel like that, even if you're in the car and even if
Yes.
you go into the restaurant. Now, the cutest thing, I came to your restaurant and young man earlier on opened up the doors for me.
Okay.
And it was so nice. He was like a host and he was making sure I was okay. He took me to your assistant manager and we talked and everything about me taking photographs and so forth and so on. When I came back a little later on to take some more photographs, 2 young men who were in line to get food were opening the doors for the old people like me coming in the door.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So that young man, your host there,
Yeah.
really influenced those young men who were standing in line.
Right, and I'm not surprised that happened. Like, we'll have a guest who one guest gave $100 and just said, bless the guests that are coming after me. So then I'll tell a guest, hey, we had a guest, pay it forward.
That is
and they say,
so
okay, well, thank you, but then I want to pay for the car behind me. And it'll go on and on and on.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
And that, I'm telling you, the lines outside of that place. I have seen the Chick-fil-A, of course, the one that was closest to the city out on Eagle Road for a long time. That was packed.
Yes.
And then the one at Bridgeton, I saw that one. It's packed all the time.
Yes.
And when I got to yours, I'm like, oh my goodness, look what's going on out here.
Yes,
it's really,
busy.
People like the food. I really like what you have on the menus as well.
Yes.
It's healthy, balanced type food.
It is. It is very fresh. Like, we get our produce every day. We hand cut the salads. We cut the strawberries. We cut.
They're good.
We hand bread the chicken.
Really?
Oh yes.
So that's why it tastes so like it melts in your mouth almost. I'm not just kidding, and trying to do a commercial
quality.
for Chick-fil-A. I'm talking about quality fast food that really tastes good, especially those salads.
Yeah.
Oh,
and I like to say we're not fast food. We're quick service.
Quick service. I like that. I like that. So getting into this business, what were you thinking when you said, oh, I could do this? Were you afraid to even jump into something like this? What were your thoughts?
No, obviously I was not thinking, because once I got into it, I was like, ooh, what have I done? But we celebrated 1 year on January 31st.
Wow.
Yeah, so 1 year.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And it's really been a blessing.
It's been that quick?
It's been that quick.
Because I remember when Chick-fil-A made the call, they were bringing more Chick-fil-A's into St. Louis.
Yes.
And then it was just about that 3 days later, because they opened the one on Eagle Road first, off of 40.
Yeah.
And then they said, we're going to put some more in St. Louis.
Yeah, and actually Bridgeton and we opened on the same day.
Okay.
And it was just kind of like a whole North County thing.
Everybody was excited about it out there in
Yeah.
North County. I've heard nothing but good things about the restaurant. People were constantly saying, oh, I just love it. That was the first time they had ever experienced that experience with Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
And they were surprised of what was going on there. What do you hope that the kids learn who are working there?
Well, honestly, on their name tags, I have their name, and then below their name, I don't even know if you noticed this, but it says like future doctor, Sydney, future writer.
Yes.
Yeah. So our goal is to make sure we keep in front of them what their goal is. They're just passing through, but while they're there, I'm hoping that they learn discipline, respect, hard work, dedication, stewardship, and focus, and really just to try to prepare them for. We're real life, but a place where maybe it's not as loving, because we are loving and we are caring.
Yes.
But when they go out into the world, the real world, it may not be like that, but they'll be able to be articulate, to say what's on their mind, to engage guests, get off their phones, and be responsible.
I didn't see any of that in the restaurant.
Oh no, I don't allow that.
I mean, there were families that came in there with kids and moms and dads and grandma and grandpas.
Yes.
And they were all sitting down at the table, not on the phone, but they were actually into the food and conversation.
Yes, and young people, they're so into their devices now, and there's almost a lack of communication at that age, but to have them come in and be able to engage with the guests and say, how are you doing? Did you have a good day? Those are skills that'll go with them for the rest of their lives.
It will. It definitely will. And it really, I could see in some of the young people who were coming in with their moms and dads to buy food, they were really intrigued with the way in which the manager was talking to the young people behind the counter and the conversation that was going on there. It was kind of like, wow, that's a boss person who is talking to an individual who's a worker here, but it's in a kind and very good manner that really makes them feel like it's okay, you might have made a mistake there, but this is how you do this way.
And I work the drive-through. I'm outside on the iPads. I clean the bathrooms. I cook the chicken. Like, I do it all. I lead from the front. And so it's not surprising to hear, my managers, they're right in there with the young people. So we lead by example, and we try to demonstrate exactly how we want these young people to engage.
I see I see those kids in you. I see now where they were getting that bright smile, and they were, always very, very focused on their jobs. Everybody has a specific thing that they do behind the scenes there, which is really, Very interesting. I had never been, behind in
It's
a
well
quick service
choreographed dance.
It is. It is.
It
What are
is.
some of the really interesting things, real quick, that Chick-fil-A requires? I heard that they have some stringent requirements that of franchise owners. So what are some of them?
Yeah, well,
that
you
are a
have-
little different from the others?
Yeah, you got to work in your business. They expect you to be at work every day.
So you just can't be an owner operator.
Nope, you can't just, it's not an investment. If you're looking for an investment, look for something else. You have to work. I think Chick-fil-A's are so much different than any other quick service restaurant because the owner is there. It's rare to go into another establishment and see the owner
Yes.
at the window
Yes.
or at the cash register or outside, working, taking the trash out. But I think what it does, it gives the team members just that little push to be excellent, because I know my boss is working right next to me.
Yes.
And then you are leading by example. So how you want your team members to act, you get to demonstrate that firsthand. Chick-fil-A, it's about, because it's hard work.
Yes,
It's
is.
hard work. So you have to have a passion for what you do. And that's how you can change the community and change the lives of your team members.
You definitely are changing the community. You're changing the face of the community out there. It's really awesome to go in a restaurant and having been used to going to other restaurants in the area, and you come in, you see all these young people of color.
Yes.
It's like, wow,
Yes.
this is different.
Yes, because you
And
might expect something other than what
exactly because of experiences. And
Yeah.
so when you come into your restaurant, I mean, everybody's just spit and shine, and it's, they're orderly and everything's cool. But again, the best thing I like about it is driving up to the window to get my, oh Lord. And the young lady says, "May I have your order, please, and your name?" I'm like, wow. It just shocked me.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
took me aback. It's like, okay, there must be a requirement that you at least be ready to speak articulately at this
Yes.
window.
With my hiring process, I don't play. I set the expectation, and they go through a 2-month-long interview process to make sure we get the right people. In just 3 months, I've gotten 450 applications. So these
Really?
young people, it's not a war for talent. People, I can't find good people. There's a lot of talent out there. The war is for leadership. So
There you go.
hold these young people accountable, set the standard at a level of excellence. Those who can meet it, those are the ones you want.
That's
Those
right.
who can't, then there's plenty of places down Lindbergh that they can work.
The plenty, Lord have mercy. I mean, it's just really blown up out there.
Yeah.
Thank you so much,
It's my
Tasha.
pleasure. Thank you so much for having
I
me.
really appreciate you coming on. We'll
It's
have
my
you
pleasure.
back for talking about women in business. We'd just love
Yeah.
to talk with you about that.
Okay.
Thank you so
It's
much.
my pleasure.
I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Thank you. And I want to thank you so much for tuning in to City Corner. We've got a lot of great information coming up for you in the coming months, so stick with us. I'm Robin Boyce. You have an awesome, awesome week.